Hello and welcome back to another recap chat. This is Irene CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends, and we are recapping another episode of 90 Day Fiance. It's a reality show following couples. One person's from the U.S., the other's from another country. They have 90 days to get everything together, to get everything right, and they have to walk down the aisle within that 90-day period. So there's deadlines, there's drama. There's things that are unspoken, unlearned, unsaid until the very last second. It's 90 Day Fiance. All right, let's get into this episode, starting with Mallory and Rashid. She calls him Rosh, but I think it's Rashid. So it's the morning. She greets the dogs first, which I thought was funny. The dogs are getting all the attention. So we find out that this is their day where they're going to be doing their bachelorette party things. So we see that Rosh is going to be at a strip club. So she says there's going to be big girls, small girls there. There may even be girls with no teeth. You know, they're in the country. So she starts really getting to drinking. He's like, well, we haven't even went to the party yet. She's like, well, this is how we do. We get drunk before we go to or we get all of our drinking in before we go there, so we won't have to drink so much more and spend all our money up when we're out, which makes no sense to me. And God bless these people's livers. So a friend of his, Jihad, he's known for 5 years, from New Jersey, comes down to visit. In this celebration, brings a nice batch of baklava. They enjoy the smell, the look of the baklava. I assume, did she say it was from, I'm not sure exactly where it was from, but I'm sure it was authentic baklava. But he's supposed to be coming to the party, and he's glad he's going to be there because he has a more of an understanding of his culture. So the party bus arrives with the guy and girlfriends, and both of them get on. So it starts off like a co-ed party. As they're on the bus, they're drinking. One of the friends is twerking, and Rashid gets up and tries to do his own strange twerk. I don't know what he's doing. So they split off, and Brandon hosts the whole strip club night, and he said he's gonna set them up real good and take care of them. So he says when he gets in there, he says he's shocked. It looks like one of those films. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Brandon sets up for him to have a lap dance. He says, I don't trust Brandon. Might be a bad party. But he starts getting into it. Then he ends up swinging on the pole himself. He says he didn't know what to do, but he starts getting into it and starts making it rain on one of the girls that's dancing. He starts to like it. He likes a little bit too much. He gives it a 9 out of 10 and says it's very good fun. Is he a Muslim? Does he have any religious beliefs? Because he's taken on the American customs very, very well. And that's an American custom that's not exactly my custom. So Mallory and her girls go to a biker bar. She hops on one of the guys' bikes, and he revs up the bike for her. So I guess that's the most action she's going to see. So the girls go inside like, yeah, anything can happen. But basically they're just sitting there drinking, having a bunch of shots. And it looks like Mallory may vomit. Doesn't look like she's having a great time. Is this what you call fun? Maybe a few too many shots for her. So then they kind of talk about the whole situation with Rashid wanting kids and the prenup. So she lets the girls know that basically they came to an agreement, and that honestly, when I think about this agreement, it looks like he's a win-win on both sides. But honestly, she said just don't push her when it comes to the kid situation. Give her time to think, and she'll let the prenup go. And she says she trusts him. So then she talks about the fact that her mom and her sister's coming to the wedding, but her dad is not going to be coming because he's a Christian and he doesn't believe in Rashid's Muslim values. He doesn't think it's going to work because he's Muslim. So she says she's not really surprised because her dad has not been around. He's been kind of MIA for the last 10 years anyway. So Doesn't sound like she's having that much fun. Not as much fun as Rashid's having. So in this show, this is the season where everybody's having their bachelorette parties. Do you guys have any good ideas of PG bachelor and bachelorette parties that still are actually fun? Maybe there can be some hot people there. What are you guys' thoughts on that? For those people that don't want to do the traditional strip club or hire a stripper, what can they do? But let's get back on topic here. We have Thomas and Paula here. And they're on his bike. She's trying to use her phone. And he's like, hold on, just put your phone down. Don't use your phone. So I didn't know exactly where they were going, but I've seen them ride the bikes before. But I've also seen them drive. So he actually took the bike to the restaurant and they had a reservation. Isn't this supposed to be kind of a swanky dinner? It looks like it's the before the wedding dinner. They're supposed to be talking. And everything he says is beautiful out here. But she's saying she's had second thoughts. She says he's not mature enough. And she brings up the fact that he made her ride a bike to this restaurant where reservations are included. Why couldn't they drive? And he's saying we saved money on the bike. She's like, parking's like $12. It's only $12. She's like, it's actually $20. So he's very nitpicky and very cheap when it comes to money. I can see that right off. How cheap can you be the night before your wedding? So she's upset that he's kind of forcing his lifestyle on her, making everything cheapy cheap. And of course, she can't have basic furniture. A little bit what Katie was doing with Josh a bit. She's trying to save money. And she's used to living out of a suitcase. But maybe those two need to get together. Anyway, she's saying it's little things here, little things there that are turning into like a big monster. And she said she's thinking about going back to Brazil with her family. She may do that and she wants to go back. He's hurt by this. He said he wanted to challenge her, and, don't just go back to the comfy situation you had in Brazil where she mentioned she had, 8 employees or something like that. And she had the lifestyle that she wanted. He's like, well, I'm trying to challenge you to go outside of that. And she says, no, you're really just being pushy. She kind of cusses him a bit. She has some choice words that she uses in Portuguese. She doesn't want to use English for this. He's saying that she's just threatening him to go back to Brazil. And it's really for no reason. But honestly, you're not listening to her because it is for a reason. Do I think it's a super serious like some other couples in the 90-day world and the 90-day pass? No, but yet it's still valid reasons and a compromise should be made. So she's like, is this a breakup dinner? She doesn't want to be stuck. She doesn't want to be unhappy. She basically saying she can't do this. And that's how the night before the wedding dinner concludes. She doesn't want to let her family down or anything like that. That's a part of this, but she also can easily go back home with them because she's not happy with the lifestyle that Thomas is put together. And he has no wiggle room for what she wants. In my mindset and process, I would say that, like I said, I don't know if she can get her bank there in the U.S. or what she can do financially, but that will open some doors for them to be able to live together. But the fact that his mind is so closed on the fact that he wants to keep things on the cheap, I understand in a way where she's coming from, that he's not open to other possibilities, even possibilities, like I said, maybe you guys need to live in separate homes. I don't know. It might come to that at some point. Or she'll just go back to Brazil. Edward and Marissa. So it's the next day after they had this long extended fight at the restaurant. He makes a morning omelet for himself. He made his own breakfast. I'm like, hey, you're not making breakfast for Bae. So Marissa comes in and jokes about last night, saying it was fun. Of course it wasn't. And he mentions about he understands she doesn't like aggression. When she says, you need to learn how to read my emotions. Though she also just told him what she was feeling at the same time. For me, I'm like, just tell the person. Because sometimes people can't pick up your emotions. And a lot of times, guys, they don't pay attention to context, clues, or details. And it could take years for a couple to be together, for them to actually be able to read each other that deeply. it may not be an easy feat. It may never happen, honestly. So sometimes, basically, you just have to say what you need. Just say it, basically. So they kind of confronted each other about what happened, but they're apologetic and they both take the blame for the parts that they played. And she says she was hangry. So then she explains what hangry is because he thinks she say, no, you mean angry. She says no, hangry, and she explains it's hungry/angry. And then he says in his country it means we swim just to die by the shore. But I don't think that's what the same thing, because then they're talking about their marriage and they want things to work in their marriage. So it turns into something like that, this phrase he shares. Anyway, she's happy, they're happy that they're both trying to put the work in, and she says she still wants to marry him. So it's all good again. So he says, let's solve our problems in bed. She's like, oh yes, give me a massage. She's like, no, that's not what I was talking about. So cut to them. They're walking to the bedroom, I guess. And then we cut to later on, he's signing the prenup. And he says, well, I saw all of your assets. And he's like, you have a whole lot of assets. I didn't realize you had all that. And we're not talking about those type of assets. And he's like, I got zero. And she says that, well, she put this prenup together. She did it for the kids and he easily signed. So that was a good sign. So they go to the wedding venue. Everything looks beautiful. He's getting a little nervous. The day is coming. He says he's never really even been to a wedding. I'm sure he's been to different weddings because he used to host at the hotel, but I guess not a personal wedding. So anyway, he's there. They're at the venue. She's having him practice his walk. Stand up straight. You can't walk like this. So she's also just happy when he does what she wants. So happy wife, happy life. I guess that's true for some of these wives, maybe many of them anyway. So they again talk about we compromise and we work together. So it looks like things are going to work out, but he's still saying he's not sure if she's 100% in this. And he's kind of nervous that she may flip flop on him like she's been doing this whole time. And like he could be easily discarded. So I think about that in the relationship. In a way, it seems like she can just discard him because she has everything and everything she wants and needs. And if she doesn't want him anymore, she can discard him financially, etc. And I think that's an imbalanced relationship. But if someone is willing to do that, that's not a good person at the end of the day anyway. So she meets with her mom at the vineyard. Everything's cool. She's happy with how things are going with Edward. And the whole 100% conversation comes up again from mom. And she says, yes, she really loves him. This is the surest I've ever heard her. She's not even that sure when she's in front of him, but she's telling mom, I'm sure. So mom's like, okay, well, I just want you to put everything in perspective. I'm going to call my lawyer here. So she calls the lawyer and she's like, well, he already signed the prenup. She says, I know, but just indulge me here. Just listen to this lawyer, right? So because of the whole immigration situation, I don't know if the prenup will fully take into play, just because when you have to sign it for immigration that you're going to support that person for 10 years. And if that person has no income, she could be paying him up to 40% of her salary. So this is a concern for her, a concern for mom. She's saying she's concerned for her grandkids. And she's, Marissa's saying she doesn't think he's the type of guy that will depend on her money in that way. And she says, you don't really know until you get into that situation. He seems like a nice guy, but she says at the end of the day, he probably would take advantage of that scenario. I think most people would, especially if they found themselves in that position. So for her job is really to try to help him get on his feet so that he wouldn't have to do that. But to me, he does seem like the kind of guy that would try to stand on his own. But again, if he's put in a situation where he's stuck out here in another country and he has no other opportunities or options, of course he's going to take what he can get. And he may even say, okay, I'll take a lesser sum. I'm not going to take all this money from her, but I'm sure he'll take something, especially if he needs to. But maybe the prenup can come to play in that scenario. But again, we're hoping that the prenup doesn't even have to take place or take action. And that's not even an issue for them. But, now some more things come into question as they move forward. If she was 100%, now she's back down to a lower number, a lower percentage due to this conversation. Thanks, Mafia Mom. I really think she's a part of the marriage mafia. So Maxwell and Aisha, we don't see too much of them. We just see the aftermath of Aisha. Again, her argument she had with her relative's friend. I think it's her mom's friend or her sister's friend. And I guess a family friend. As well as her infamous god brother Rod. So after he slams the table, she's out of there. And she says, I know what's best for me. Plus, I'm listening to God on that level as well. So, basically, you guys can't question me. So the family friend, she comes up and says, basically, I didn't expect you to be moving so fast. And when I came up here, I didn't know I was coming to a wedding. She says that she is supportive, but she says more time is needed. She says, okay, well, it's been a year, though. It has been some time. We've gone through a denial, and then she's like, well, isn't that a sign? And she says, no, it's a test that we can withstand anything, and we're going to get through this. So she says it only needs to be two people that agree in this scenario, either me and Maxwell. These are the only two people that matter as far as us making this decision, where nobody else needs to make any decisions for us. And she's not wrong. And she says, well, you guys can meet me down the aisle tomorrow because that's how it's going to go. She's done. And she says, no demon is going to stop her wedding. Can I get an amen? Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Shay and Annabelle, they wake up together. Usually, don't you guys not sleep in the same bed the night before? But you know how people do today. Anyway, Allison's supposed to help her with her vows because of her English, and she still needs to work on that. They share a morning kiss, and Abigail and Allison, they kind of get her ready, Annabelle ready for the wedding. She says everything is good. But she was thinking about the situation where his older daughter brought up the will. But she says they're going to talk about that later. Right now, they're doing girly stuff. They're actually doing a lot to get their stepmom ready for her wedding, priming her and prepping her, doing her hair and nails. While Shay and his friend actually are getting ready, and he actually does talk about it. And he says, he is going to put Annabelle in the will, even though, nobody talked about this in detail. But he says, yeah, he's going to put her in the will. He's not going to leave her out in the cold, but it's a balancing act. Of course, she's not going to just get everything. I'm sure everybody's going to get something, but it's a conversation for another day. They're getting married. So they do see each other briefly before the wedding. She doesn't have her dress on yet. But he's trying to give her a kiss. She's like, no kiss. So finally she stops the kiss. Well, the kissing from like an hour before the wedding or something like that. And they said, it took 5 years for us to get here to this point. Allison apologizes and she's happy that they have the clean slate, or clean sheet is what she said. And honestly, she apologized like 50 times on this episode. I don't think we needed that many apologies, but I could see them having a TLC show. Shay's got all this money. I could see the Shay and Annabelle show. I can definitely see that. So as she puts on her dress, the girls kind of share a family hug, a happy, joyous hug. She's about to get married. I think it was fun. It was good. It was nice. It was very heartwarming. This is a good situation here on the show because we don't always see this, and we're not always sure we're going to see this, but we're seeing this now. We're seeing this, and I'm liking it. So the ladies are on the way to the wedding venue, and she talks about checking Shay's nails. She's like, couldn't imagine you being with a guy where I have to check his nails, do his nails, clip his nails, clean his nails. Like, well, That's their situation. So you need to take care of your own nails. So and they asked about the family being there and watching. She said, "Well, there's a time difference. It's 3 a.m. there for them, so they probably won't be able to watch." I don't know if they're in an area where they don't have the service either, but that wasn't mentioned or not. But that's possible. Um, she's kind of getting sad, and she misses her family. She wishes they could be there. She mentions her family member, and she mentions her closer family members, her mom especially. Then she mentions her daughter, which I didn't realize she had a daughter. So again, for the Shay and Annabelle show, we can reveal the daughter and have the daughter come down. Just saying, if you guys ever want to do a show. Anyway, it's a beautiful day for them. Everybody's happy. Everything's beautiful. She's walking down the aisle, but the way she walked down the aisle was really weird. There was no elegance to it at all. It was like kind of weird and floppy how she walked down the aisle. I don't even know. I guess, is that her regular walk? I don't know. But as the vows are being said, they're beautiful vows. I believe his best man read these vows. She starts to cry. Did he get his best man to write the vows? I'm just wondering. He has all this money. He could have paid to get his vows written. But I thought Annabelle was supposed to have some vows, but I don't recall her saying any. I think they just said the traditional wedding vows. Her veil was not lifted because it was up the whole time. Like, well, why was her veil? That's one of the fun parts, is lifting the veil. But, he kissed the bride. He said the third time is a charm. They had a little cake, a little food, a little partying. And, she said she told him no parties, but hey, this exception to the rule this time, let's party. And she vowed that she would clip his little toenails on his feet forever. That's Shay and Annabelle. And finally, we're closing with Josh and Katie. So his friends Megan and Paige, they kind of staged his little stag party. A lot of his male friends couldn't come. Usually in stag parties, the girls are not involved, but the girls were the only ones who could come down to the U.S. and hang with them. So they did what they did. And so they made him dress like a UK girl. He's wearing a dress with a UK flag on it, some go-go boots and a wig. And basically, he's like, this is more of a hazing than a party, so to speak. So they're in the bar, and he has to dress like a woman. And I guess you get to drink a little bit. So I'm like, is this training for married life? Just total embarrassment or whatever? Like, hey, if you can survive these hazing, you can survive marriage. I don't know. Is that what a stag party is? Anyway, he finds out that this was actually a Spice Girl outfit. He doesn't know which Spice Girl he's supposed to be, but one of the Spice Girls. He does mention that at least there's a nice breeze wearing a dress. So the girlfriends kind of ask him, so how's everything going with you and Katie? And he mentions, hey, she does like to make out with other people, and she likes to drink a lot. And the situation with monogamy always comes up. He brings up the open relationship situation. The friends look kind of upset, and they let him know he needs to stand his ground and be very clear as to where he stands when it comes to this situation. They need to be on the same page, especially if they're walking down the aisle the next day. His friends are saying there needs to be no question that you guys are on the same page. No room for wiggle room here. So he returns in his little dress there to the wedding venue, and the family kind of laughs it off and asking why he's wearing a dress. So it's nighttime. They had a long day, especially Katie with the prepping for the wedding. They were all there trying to get everything together. So they have a little pillow talk as they're trying to call it a night. And of course he brings up the open relationship situation and he's trying to see where she stands. And she asks, well, we can't make out with people anymore. Would you have a three-way? And he's like, well, if we both wanted to do that, I'm not going to say that it's not possible. But right now, I just want to focus on the fact that I just want to marry you. And I want this to be a monogamous relationship here. And she says she lets us know with the producers she doesn't doubt him, but she doubts on some level if she can hold to this monogamy, and then she just loves flirting. But at the end of the day, while they're having their pillow talk, she does tell him that she's on the same page with him. She's just an open-minded person, and she does want forever with him. She's team forever. But as she's sharing this information, first he smiles when she says, okay, I just want to be with you too. But I still see this disappointed look on her face as she's, declaring her love for him, I do believe she loves him. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy situation. If somebody's not in the same page with you when it comes to monogamy and their mindset and their lifestyle, I don't really see a point of marrying that person, because I feel like OCD or not, they're going to go back to their old ways and they're not going to respect you or respect the marriage. And I don't know if she's ready to do that or if she ever will. Yes, people can change, but I don't know if she's in the changing mode right now. She's still thinking about what she wishes she could do. So I don't know, Josh. He doesn't know either. Even though she's saying what she's saying, I'm not 100% feeling it. And I think he feels a bit like he's unsure if she's really real about this or not. I believe he even said, I hope that she's really feels this and she's not saying this because she feels stuck and like she has to say it because we're getting married tomorrow. But she says it won't be an issue. We'll see. So guys, this is it for our recap. All the couples are like on their bachelorette parties getting married. Shay and Annabelle just got married and everything looks great for them. So we're going to be seeing some more weddings ahead. Thoughts, comments, questions, let me know. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. And we will talk again, guys. All the best. God bless. This is Irene, Faith, Love, and Trends.